you spend a lot of your time analyzing businesses, and in your view, give us some nuggets for the small, maybe mom and pop entrepreneur, the startup entrepreneur, the medium company, and maybe even your larger company. I don't know if you've got, like, what are your top tips for success? What do you notice in these companies that are doing well, like key things to take away?
So my favorite quote in the whole world is, greatness is a lot of small things done well. And I just love it because that's ultimately what it comes down to. It's really hard to wake up one day and go, wow, how do I get my business from where it is today to where I want it to be? There's no one initiative you can do that's going to make that happen. It requires excellence across everything you're doing. So the biggest tip is just whatever you're doing, you have to aspire for excellence in it. Every time you are posting something online, any engagement you have with a client, you just don't know who that person is or who is out there reading it or seeing it. I mean, if I think back to the big breaks that I got, you know, I one of the best pieces of advice I was ever given was from a good friend of mine. And he said to me, you have to be on Twitter, because I started this on Facebook. I'd never had a Twitter account in my life. And he said, the finance community is all on Twitter. That's where everyone is. You've got to be there. So I had no idea how Twitter works. Anyway, so I figured it out over time. But for a long time, you know, you're starting from zero. You're posting stuff. You're getting one like, occasionally a retweet, you know. And I'll never forget when I got my first retweet from Mark Hassenfuss from the Financial Mail. I'm sure he's, you know, he won't necessarily be listening, but you know, if he is, big shout out there, because he gave me really my first break, I think, was that sort of retweet on a company I'd written about, and the share price moved considerably the next morning. And then he messaged me and he said, hey, you know, people clearly read it and liked it. You know, would you like to start writing for Investors Monthly? And that was kind of how it all really started. And I still write for Investors Monthly, and I always will for as long as he'll have me. But anyway, long story short is, it really is about getting the small stuff right and just making sure that you're doing everything, you know, you're always your best foot forward, because you just don't know who's watching. And the other tip is just build the most resilient revenue base you can. You know, you can never rest on your laurels and think to yourself, oh, this is working, it's all going to be okay. Sadly, it's sometimes not okay. And I think that's my success, and also my biggest failure, is having, you know, these three irons in the fire. Well, I mean, I can't say it's a failure because all three are working. It feels like a failure in terms of work-life balance. It is. It's a complete fail. But it's hugely successful in terms of three businesses that are achieving product market fit. And if all three of them carry on with this trajectory, then, you know, it is going to be one of those laughing in a Ferrari situations one day, like, you know, thinking of the times when I worked until, I can tell you now, it's a Thursday. The last 3 nights I've not been to bed before midnight, and I started each day at 7 a.m.